Thank you for staying with us. You're now watching the climate charts of segment on the weekend show. My name is Zainab Adetola, and I say thank you for staying with us. The climate chart is where we get to have conversations about how climate change worsens gender inequality and other forms of inequalities across Nigeria. Recently, Education as a Vaccine took initiative to set up climate justice clubs in schools across the country just to promote understanding and, actions about how we can address climate change from a gender inequality lens. And joining me via Zoom to have a conversation about this initiative today is Victoria Essa, who is the Executive Director of the Climate and Environment Amelioration Initiative. She's joining me on Zoom all the way from Benue State to have a conversation about this. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Victoria Essa. While we kindly unmute, please, if you can hear me. Okay, it's so important to understand, while we wait for Victoria Essa to join us, it's important to understand that the importance of taking this initiative to schools is to see how we can start very small, start from people, from young people, and have them have an understanding of the climate issues that we face in our society, what they can do to be a part of the solutions, and also how they can be sensitive to the inequalities that these problems create, from how they affect women to how they affect persons living with disabilities, even men. Climate change affects every single person differently. And if we do not understand this, we might not be able to come up with appropriate solutions about how to resolve climate change challenges. But with this initiative of the Climate Justice Club schools, we are catching them young, and then when they go out into the larger society, they are able to better interact with the larger environment, better interact with conversations around climate change, and also better interact with ensuring, insisting, asking, engaging governments, and seeing that as a society, we're able to get an holistic solution to solving climate problems in the country. Imagine discussing climate and, not having the voices of women, the voices of young girls, the voices of persons with disabilities, the voices of people in internally displaced persons camps across the country, not having these voices featured. Yet, they are the most vulnerable people when it comes to the problems that climate change creates. And that's why it's important that we have this conversation. I don't know if we have Victoria Essa back with us now. Okay, while we still wait for her to join us and see if we can resolve the technical challenge, I just think it's important that we maintain and keep up these conversations, particularly engaging young people in secondary schools. And that's why I find what the Education as a Vaccine initiative is doing very, very beautiful, because when young people have that understanding and then they grow with this understanding, they're coming from a place of knowledge, not from a place of ignorance. And then when they begin to get into positions of authorities or engage government on these issues, they know how to frame the solutions that they're asking for. They know how to frame the demands that they are making, such that it is reflective of the actual challenges that we face in our society. I mean, look at the government's responses that we have today, where you are responding to climate disaster in the country. And unfortunately, you're not considering the health of women, the sexual and reproductive health of women. Imagine a climate change response that is not considering how climate change worsens gender violence in terms of domestic violence, environmental violence, and other forms of violence. Imagine a climate change response that people are looking at and it's not putting into consideration the fact that things as simple as water scarcity cause women to become at risk of getting raped, of getting sexually harassed. These are real issues that we face in our society, and it is important that we address these issues, and that exactly is what the climate justice clubs in schools, particularly in Benue and Nasarawa states, are doing. I mean, when we speak to these young people, we are then able to tell them that these are the issues we are facing. And some of them are even children of persons who do not really understand these things. But because they now know them, they go back home and speak to their parents, and their parents are better able to understand the challenges that we are facing. And it's on that note, it's unfortunate that we could not get Victoria Essa to join us, but I do believe that we'll bring her back on the show to have a conversation about the activities these clubs are undertaking and what they are doing within the larger society. And it's on that note that we'll wrap up this segment today. Thank you so much for listening and being with us, and being with us to have this conversation. My name is Zainab Adetola, and I'll see you next week.